Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on mysterious and weird true stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Case file number 22, written by user RunnerGirl2001. Friend tried to set him up with Maggie. This led to possibly saving his life. Only his friend never did set him up. All names used here are fake. So here's some background. I was trying to get over an ex at the time. Then my friend Maggie randomly texted me saying, "Hey, would you be opposed to going on a date with Audrey?" Audrey is a mutual friend. I say no. I try to talk to her, but I don't feel any sparks. The next day, I try to ask a group of friends to hang out. There's one girl in the group, and one of the other friends in the group texts me saying, "Dude, stop hitting on Alexandra. Focus on Audrey." I'm like, ugh. Later that day, I was spaced out at a traffic light, completely sober, when the truck in front of me turns right. I automatically think, the light must be green. So I go. I hear some honking behind me, but I ignore it. I was halfway through the intersection, 30 miles per hour back road with a 55 mile per hour highway, when I realized the light was red, and for some reason, I stopped in the middle of the intersection. I heard a car behind me swerve to not hit me, so I kept going and had to stop on the side of the road to process what just happened. This is when things get weird. My friends never mentioned Audrey to me again, and a month later, she starts dating someone else, Jake. I assume that was the reason why. However, a few months later I bring up to Maggie about how she tried to set me up with Audrey, but she just stares at me blankly and says, "No, we were trying to set her up with Jake." I thought she was pulling my chain, but I went back to old text messages and I couldn't find any that mentioned Audrey in the first place, let alone friends trying to set me up with her. The weird thing about this experience is I didn't black out. I was conscious the whole time. I don't know if I died and switched to another reality, but I know damn well that I wasn't imagining this. Also, Maggie claimed she had been having consistent dreams of me dying, and they stopped when this event happened. Edit. I texted Maggie, asking if she remembered trying to set us up together, and her response was, "No, Audrey and Jake were together, I'm pretty sure." Case notes. File number 22. So my impression of this isn't a quantum immortality crossover scenario, because you don't remember your death. It's true that not every single case of quantum immortality involves remembering the specifics of the originating death, but if we go back to case number 19, they didn't remember the details either. They kinda whisked back 20 minutes in the past. Although one of the listeners mentioned a theory that perhaps this was just a premonition, not quantum immortality. I like that theory, so maybe that's why. It's also the fact you didn't remember any details, and also that Maggie was having dreams of you dying prior. That detail is weird. So there's some element of premonition involved here too, perhaps. Maybe your mind was syncing subconsciously with hers, leading to you spacing out near and in that intersection, where you were lost in thought about Alexandra and Audrey. If you hadn't spaced out, perhaps that swerving car would have hit you. One little domino tumbling, leading to a cataclysmic fate. Case file number 23. Written by user TACQTime. What happens when you experience an intense physical episode, a sort of panic attack with great anxiety, then find out a loved one passed away almost exactly in that moment? My dad died in December of 2017. I lived with him until December 4th, when I moved out into my own one-bedroom apartment. I worked all day December 5th, then December 6th was my day off. I spent the day buying things for my new apartment and organizing, and then around noon, I had really fast and drawn-out heart palpitations, unlike I've ever had before or since. I seriously thought I was going to die for a moment, because it lasted for almost 5 seconds, which is a long time when your heart is on the fritz. After that, I had an overwhelming feeling of sadness and guilt, and I just sat on the floor crying for a while. I couldn't explain the source of sadness I was experiencing. I'm usually pretty good at pinpointing why I'm feeling a certain way, but there just was no reason for it. I texted my dad, "Hey Dad, how you doing?" But I never got a response. The next day at around 7 p.m., my sister and I went to check on my dad because nobody had heard from him in a while. We found him dead in his bed. Now, this next part may sound a bit morbid, but this is the reason I think my dad died when I had heart palpitations and an extreme feeling of sadness. My mom looked up a decomposition chart to try to calculate exactly how long he had been dead, and based on the state of his body when we found him, he would have died the day before at around noon. I won't get into the specifics of what killed him, but it was related to his heart. Edit. I'm amazed at the number of similar stories you all have to share here. It seems we're all connected to our families more than we think. I would encourage anyone reading this thread to look at the comments because there are some amazing stories here. Thank you all for opening up about your personal experiences. I am legitimately honored that I could provide this thread where we can all share these strange occurrences together. I am very sorry to everyone who has experienced the loss of a loved one. It's not easy at all. My heart goes out to you. Case notes, file number 23. Well, first off, I'm going to offer my sincere condolences. There are a lot of glitches that relate to our own mortality, and it's just sad to read them. But it is good that we can share them together. I agree with you there. It also provides so much insight into our universe, how it works, or at least fragments and clues. I think I agree that there's some sort of connection that we all share. At the fundamental level, for example, particles can be entangled and connected, and we don't really understand how. We can't use it to transmit information, at least not as we understand it now, but they're still connected. At the macro level, it seems our emotions, related to concentration and focus on specific objects or people, how much we think of something, lead to the forging of these bonds. It's almost like memories, actually. If you have a memory of something you learned, or something you just remember, the more you think about it, the more the pathways for those synapses are reinforced, and you can recall that memory easily then. But if you never think about it, it's very hard to access. But perhaps more accurately, the perception or tapping into the bonds that always exist between us all. So it's like the memories are always there, we just can't always access them. I can't pretend to know the specifics, I'm speculating. I'm also reminded of a previous case, the case file number 9, where someone's pet had astral projected his future emotional state into the mind of his owner. It's a small glitch per se, but very striking. Even with our pets, anything we connect strongly with, we can sense what's happening to them, and perhaps even what will happen to them later. And that concludes our case files for the night. If you enjoyed them, and my narration of them, consider leaving a like, and also subscribing. I upload Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 p.m. EST with new case files all the time. I'll see you there.